In the words of Eric Linklater, the typical country scene is not romantic but domestic, with prospering, well-tended fields and the reflecting surface of large, shallow lochs to repeat the brightness of enormous skies. The Orkney Islands are situated off the far north coast of Scotland, where the North Sea meets the Atlantic Ocean. The Isle of Hoy serves as if to protect its neighbouring islands. With its great height, it appears almost to conceal them from view. And this is possibly the best-known rock pinnacle in the British Isles, the Old Man of Hoy. Were we to study an old map or photograph pertaining to this area, we would see just how much the Old Man has changed in form over the centuries. Given that it is susceptible to erosion and takes an annual battering from the winter elements, no one knows quite how much longer it will stand before being claimed by the sea. Unlike the rest of the Orkney Islands, the northwest coastlines of the Isle of Hoy are craggy and steep. The southeast, however, is level, fertile terrain. The peak of Ward Hill can be seen from anywhere on the mainland of Orkney. At this point, we should remind ourselves that Orkney Islanders refer to their principal island as Mainland and to the national mainland as Scotland. Because of its location and beauty, many people consider Stromness to be the most appealing of Mainland's towns. It's not as old as Kirkwall, but for centuries it was a thriving port. The Hudson Bay Company, among many others, made great use of the port of Stromness up to the end of the 19th century on their trading routes to and from Canada. Provisions and supplies were not the only cargo taken on board here, however. Many young local men grasped the opportunity to travel before returning to Stromness to set up home. The town was also a last port of call for many westbound ships and especially for whalers on their way to the Davis Straits. Stromness is important too in terms of the arts. The renowned Scottish writer George Mackay Brown was born here. North of Stromness are the lochs of Stennis and Harry, the two largest lochs in the Orkney Islands. Apart from their sheer beauty, they are located near some of the most important prehistoric sites in the world. It's thought that these standing stones are at least 5,000 years old. Apparently, the site was once known to locals as the Temple of the Moon. These dwelling places were discovered over 20 years ago, and it's thought they were occupied around the time the stones were erected. Another aspect of this intriguing area is Maeshowe, Britain's largest chambered cairn. Almost incredibly, it was built around 3000 BC. The cairn was designed specifically so that the dying light of the midwinter sun shone through the entrance passage to strike the rear wall of the central chamber. In Brodgar, there are more standing stones located on a peninsula between two lochs. Only 27 stones remain of the original 60, known as the Ring of Brodgar. Orkney's Neolithic heartland was accorded World Heritage Site status in 1999, in common with Stonehenge and the Great Wall of China. In further pursuit of prehistory, no finer example can be found than Skara Brae. A sandstorm buried the original village around 2450 BC, preserving it for posterity. 5,000 years later, another storm revealed it. Skara Brae tells us much about our ancestors and their way of life. To the north of that wonderful site, and still on the west coast, is Marwick Head, where the vessel HMS Hampshire struck a German mine and sank in 1916. The ship was en route to Russia, and among those who perished was Field Marshal the Earl Kitchener, then Secretary of State for War. This monument was erected in his memory. Broch of Bursey is renowned not just for its historical importance, but for its bird life. Flocks of kittiwakes, guillemots, fulmars and puffins can be spotted here.